Jason Bradley DeFord, you won't believe what happened next. That's not clickbait. It's the only way to describe how a kid from Antioch, Nashville went from back-to-back arrests and a body that once tipped past 540 pounds to crossing a 5 Kelvin's finish line, topping charts, and rebuilding a family he almost lost. This is the rebirth of Jelly Roll-born Jason Bradley DeFord, and the part nobody expected is how every scar became the blueprint for his second life. He grew up on the southeast side of the city, where money was tight and lessons came fast. His dad, Horace Buddy DeFord, ran a wholesale meat business and kept a bookie side hustle that paid the bills. At home, his mom, her name kept private, fought addiction and mental health storms. She also gave him the name that stuck, Jelly Roll. More importantly, she gave him music. She'd play those big, aching country ballads, and he learned how a song could make a room go quiet. By 9 or 10, he'd written his first rap. By 8th grade, he was burning mixtapes and handing them out in school parking lots like a one-man street team. Then, at 13, his parents split. He tried to help his mom the only way he knew, hustling, slipping his tapes into the same bags he was handing off. Through it all, his dad still showed up with the lessons that mattered. Stand against racism, carry yourself with dignity, keep your word. When Buddy died of cancer in 2019, those lessons became a compass. But before the compass, there was the crash. First arrest at 14, then another, and another about 40 in all. At 16, it got serious. Aggravated robbery. He was charged as an adult. He did just over a year behind bars, then more than 7 years on probation. The charge followed him like a shadow. Couldn't vote, couldn't volunteer in half the places that needed him, no legal firearms, and a mountain of paperwork any time he wanted to leave the country. Meanwhile, the street life, and hard. Substances were a trapdoor under his feet. He was dealing, using, and spiraling. Then came the day the noise stopped. The 22nd of May, 2008. He's in a cell when a corrections officer tells him he's a dad. His daughter, Bailey Ann, had just been born. That sentence hit harder than any judge's. Be better. He transferred to the education unit, earned his GED, and walked out in 2009 with something he hadn't felt in years: direction. Later, when a state board reviewed his case and recommended a pardon, it wasn't just paperwork, it was the system saying, "We see your change." He started returning to jails and rehab centers, not as an inmate, but as proof that the next choice can be the right one. Even then, the toughest opponent wasn't the law, it was his own body. The weight was more than a number. It was grief, shame, and comfort rolled into one. He remembers a doctor telling him their scale couldn't measure him. He'd need a truck stop or a meat processor. That kind of humiliation burns. In 2016, he drew a line. He lost about 200 pounds. Touring life dragged him back up by 60. He didn't quit. In 2018, he told the world he was miserable and ready to fight for himself. He cleaned up his green rooms, changed his environment, and admitted the truth out loud. "I'm a food addict." That honesty became a weapon. Then the switch flipped. Early 2024, he laced up for a 5 Kelvins. At first, 1 mile felt like Everest. He kept going: walk, jog, run 2 to 3 miles at a time, most days of the week. By May, he crossed that finish line. By April 2025, he was around 357 pounds, nearly 200 down from his peak, and chasing another 100. He joked about skydiving with his wife in Sweden when he hit goal. He dreamed of the cover of a major men's fitness magazine. But the real prize wasn't a number. It was energy on stage. It was sleeping better, moving easier, and looking in the mirror without flinching. And about that wife love came wild and out of opera just order. In 2015, after a show in Vegas, he met Bunny Zoe. They stayed in touch, fell for each other, And on the 31st of August 2016, he proposed at a concert. That same night, they walked into a courthouse and said, "I do." It wasn't easy. They split in 2018, found their way back on a trip to Colorado, and came out stronger. She launched a hit podcast, built a platform of her own, and stood shoulder to shoulder with him as they rebuilt a family. Family for him started with Bailey Ann, born while he was locked up. It took time and court dates to prove he could be steady. When Felicia Beckwith, Bailey's mom, later battled addiction and went to prison, he stepped up for custody, and Bunny stood with him. In a rare show of grace in a world that loves drama, Bunny even invited Felicia onto her podcast to keep the peace for Bailey. He also has a son, Noah, born in 2016, with Melissa Ann Cowell. That role looked different, more support behind the scenes than full-time parenting, but it was steady and respectful. By 2024 and into 2025, Bunny and Jelly Roll were exploring IVF, sharing the journey with fans. They moved into a new house, renovated it room by room, and tried to turn survival mode into home. While all this life was happening, the music never stopped. From 2010 to 2015, he lived in a van and uploaded freestyles to the internet. One clip caught Lil White's ear. Soon, Jelly Roll was in a trio called SNO with BPZ, dropping an album in 2011. He teamed up with Haystack that same year and climbed charts. In 2017, he linked with Struggle Jennings for Waylon and Willie, mixing outlaw grit with hip-hop heart. The big break, though, wasn't a rap at all. It was a prayer. In May 2020, he wrote "Save Me," recorded it, and posted it within 2 days. No rap verses. Just a voice raw enough to sand down your soul. People heard their own battles in his. Suddenly, doors opened that had been welded shut. If you're counting trophies, milestones, and charts, it's a lot. But the numbers aren't the headline. The headline is that he turned a rap sheet into a set list, trades courtrooms for classrooms when he talks to kids in detention, and calls his addiction by its name, so it doesn't call the shots anymore. He still has late-night cravings. He still fights the urge to numb out. He still drinks the water, hits the workouts, takes the cold plunge, and rearranges his life so the bad choices aren't within arm's reach. That's what real change looks like. It isn't neat, and it isn't quick. It's 1,000 small decisions made after midnight. So, what did we just watch? A man who used to weigh more than a concert grand piano runs 3 miles and keeps going. A father who missed his daughter's birth becomes the steady presence she can lean on. A felon who once couldn't vote stands in front of cameras and tells the truth about addiction. So maybe the next kid gets a different ending. A husband who almost lost his marriage builds a stronger one and dreams about skydiving with his wife when he hits the next goal. That's not a comeback. That's a transformation. If this story lit a fire in you, even a small one, don't let it go out. Drop a comment with the battle you're fighting. Share this with someone who needs to hear that change is still on the table. And if you want more real-life turnarounds, hit like and subscribe. Because the next chapter, it's already being written one hard choice at a time.